Question 1. A company in AWS Account A must allow an application in a partner's AWS Account B to read objects from an S3 bucket in Account A. What is the most secure way to grant this cross-account access? The correct answer is A. Create an IAM role in Account A with a trust policy for Account B, and have the partner assume the role. A cross-account IAM role with a trust policy lets the partner assume the role and obtain temporary credentials following least privilege without sharing long-term keys. Now, why the other options are wrong? Create an IAM user in Account A and email the access keys to the partner is incorrect. Emailing access keys exposes long-term credentials and is insecure. Make the S3 bucket public so the partner can read the objects is incorrect. Making the bucket public exposes the data to everyone, not just the partner. Share the Account A root user credentials with the partner is incorrect. Sharing root credentials is never acceptable and grants unrestricted access. Question 2. An organization wants employees to sign in to AWS using their existing corporate identities and receive temporary credentials. Which approach should they use? The correct answer is B. Configure federation with AWS IAM Identity Center, or SAML, so users get temporary credentials. Federation through IAM Identity Center, or SAML, lets users sign in with corporate identities and receive temporary credentials, avoiding per-user IAM accounts. Now, why the other options are wrong. Create a separate IAM user with a password for every employee is incorrect. Creating individual IAM users duplicates identities and increases management overhead instead of federating existing ones. Share one IAM user among all employees is incorrect. Sharing one IAM user removes accountability and is insecure. Store employee credentials in an S3 bucket is incorrect. Storing credentials in S3 is insecure and does not provide federation. Question 3. A security team must ensure that IAM users can only perform sensitive actions if they have authenticated with multi-factor authentication, MFA. How can this be enforced? The correct answer is C. Attach an IAM policy that denies the actions unless MFA is present in the request context. An IAM policy with a condition requiring MFA, for example, AWS: multi-factor auth present, enforces MFA for the specified actions. Now, why the other options are wrong? Email users a reminder to enable MFA is incorrect. A reminder does not technically enforce MFA. Enable MFA only on the root user is incorrect. Enabling MFA on root alone does not protect IAM user actions. Place all users in a single IAM group with administrator access is incorrect. Granting administrator access does not enforce MFA and violates least privilege. Question 4. An application stores database credentials that must be rotated automatically on a schedule without code changes. Which AWS service should be used? The correct answer is D. AWS Secrets Manager. AWS Secrets Manager securely stores secrets and can automatically rotate database credentials on a schedule. Now, why the other options are wrong? Amazon S3 with default encryption is incorrect. S3 stores objects and does not rotate credentials. AWS CloudTrail is incorrect. CloudTrail records API activity. It does not store or rotate secrets. Amazon CloudWatch Logs is incorrect. CloudWatch Logs collects logs and does not manage secrets. Question 5. A company uses an AWS KMS customer managed key to encrypt data and wants the key material rotated automatically every year. What should they enable? The correct answer is A. Automatic key rotation on the KMS customer managed key. KMS supports automatic annual rotation of customer managed keys while keeping the same key ID. Now, why the other options are wrong? S3 cross-region replication is incorrect. Cross-region replication copies S3 objects and does not rotate keys. A new IAM access key each year is incorrect. IAM access keys are user credentials, unrelated to KMS key rotation. AWS Shield Advanced is incorrect. Shield Advanced is for DDoS protection, not key rotation. Question 6. A team wants to make sure an S3 bucket is never accidentally exposed to the public. Which feature should they enable? The correct answer is B. S3 Block Public Access. S3 Block Public Access prevents the bucket and its objects from being made public, even if a policy or ACL would otherwise allow it. Now, why the other options are wrong? S3 Transfer Acceleration is incorrect. Transfer acceleration speeds up uploads and is unrelated to public access. S3 Requester Pays is incorrect. Requester Pays shifts data transfer charges to requesters. It does not block public access. S3 Multipart Upload is incorrect. Multipart upload is for uploading large objects and is unrelated to public access. Question 7. A public web application is being targeted by SQL injection and cross-site scripting attempts. Which AWS service helps filter these malicious web requests? The correct answer is C. AWS WAF. AWS WAF inspects incoming web requests and can block common exploits such as SQL injection and cross-site scripting. Now, why the other options are wrong? Amazon Route 53 is incorrect. Route 53 is a DNS service and does not filter web request content. AWS Direct Connect is incorrect. Direct Connect provides a dedicated network connection, not web filtering. Amazon EFS is incorrect. EFS is a file storage service and does not filter web traffic. Question 8. A company needs managed protection against large-scale DDoS attacks on its internet-facing applications, with access to 24/7 response support. Which service should it use? The correct answer is D. AWS Shield Advanced. AWS Shield Advanced provides enhanced DDoS protection and access to the AWS DDoS response team. Now, why the other options are wrong? Amazon Inspector is incorrect. Amazon Inspector assesses workloads for vulnerabilities, not DDoS protection. Amazon Macie is incorrect. Amazon Macie discovers sensitive data in S3, not DDoS protection. AWS Config is incorrect. AWS Config tracks resource configuration, not DDoS protection. Question 9. A security team wants continuous, intelligent threat detection that analyzes account activity and network traffic for malicious behavior. Which service provides this? The correct answer is A. Amazon GuardDuty. Amazon GuardDuty continuously analyzes logs and network activity to detect threats and anomalous behavior. Now, why the other options are wrong? AWS Trusted Advisor is incorrect. Trusted Advisor gives best practice recommendations, not continuous threat detection. Amazon CloudFront is incorrect. CloudFront is a content delivery network, not a threat detection service. AWS Batch is incorrect. AWS Batch runs batch computing jobs and is unrelated to threat detection. Question 10. Instances in a private subnet must access Amazon S3 without sending traffic over the public internet. What is the most appropriate solution? The correct answer is B. Create a VPC gateway endpoint for Amazon S3. A VPC gateway endpoint for S3 lets instances in a private subnet reach S3 privately over the AWS network without internet access. Now, why the other options are wrong? Attach an internet gateway to the private subnet is incorrect. Attaching an internet gateway would route traffic over the public internet, which is what must be avoided. Assign public IP addresses to the instances is incorrect. Public IPs would expose instances to the internet and still use public routing. Use an Amazon S3 website endpoint over the internet is incorrect. An S3 website endpoint is accessed over the public internet, not privately. Question 11. Following the principle of least privilege, how should permissions be granted to a new application running on AWS? The correct answer is C. Grant only the specific permissions the application needs to perform its tasks. Least privilege means granting only the specific permissions required for the task, reducing risk. Now, why the other options are wrong? Grant full administrator access to simplify development is incorrect. Granting administrator access is excessive and violates least privilege. Use the root user for the application is incorrect. Using the root user is never recommended for applications. Grant access to all services in case they are needed later is incorrect. Granting broad access for possible future needs increases risk unnecessarily. Question 12. A company must serve its website over HTTPS using a trusted TLS certificate that is automatically renewed, terminating TLS of an application load balancer. Which service provides and manages the certificate? The correct answer is D. AWS Certificate Manager, ACM. AWS Certificate Manager provisions and automatically renews TLS certificates that can be deployed on an application load balancer. Now, why the other options are wrong? Amazon Macie is incorrect. Macie discovers sensitive data. It does not manage TLS certificates. AWS Secrets Manager is incorrect. Secrets Manager stores secrets. It is not a certificate authority for ALB-TLS. Amazon GuardDuty is incorrect. GuardDuty is a threat detection service, not a certificate manager. Question 13. A company wants to automatically discover and classify sensitive data such as personally identifiable information stored in Amazon S3. Which service is designed for this? The correct answer is A. Amazon Macie. Amazon Macie uses machine learning to discover and classify sensitive data such as PII in S3. Now, why the other options are wrong? Amazon Athena is incorrect. Athena queries data in S3 but does not classify sensitive data automatically. AWS Glue is incorrect. AWS Glue is an ETL service, not a sensitive data discovery tool. Amazon QuickSight is incorrect. QuickSight is a business intelligence/visualization service, not data classification. Question 14. Web servers in one security group must allow inbound traffic only from application servers in another security group on port 443. What is the best way to configure this? The correct answer is B. Reference the application server's security group as the source in the web server's inbound rule. Security group rules can reference another security group as the source, automatically covering all instances in that group without managing IPs. Now, why the other options are wrong? Allow 0.0.0.0/0 on port 443 in the web server's security group is incorrect. Allowing all sources 0.0.0.0/0 is overly permissive and insecure. Add the IP address of every application server to a network ACL is incorrect. Listing individual IPs in an ACL is brittle and harder to maintain than referencing a security group. Disable the security group and rely on the subnet is incorrect. Disabling the security group removes protection entirely. Question 15. Which statement correctly describes a difference between security groups and network ACLs in a VPC? The correct answer is C. Security groups are stateful, while network ACLs are stateless. Security groups are stateful, return traffic is automatically allowed. While network ACLs are stateless, you must allow return traffic explicitly. Now, why the other options are wrong? Security groups are stateless while network ACLs are stateful is incorrect. This reverses the two. Security groups are stateful, not stateless. Both are stateful and operate only at the subnet level is incorrect. Security groups operate at the instance level and are stateful, so this is incorrect. Both are stateless and operate only at the instance level is incorrect. Network ACLs are stateless and operate at the subnet level, so this is incorrect. Question 16. A company with many AWS accounts under AWS organizations wants to centrally restrict which services member accounts can use, regardless of their IAM policies. Which feature should it use? The correct answer is D. Service Control Policies, SCPs. Service control policies in AWS organizations set the maximum available permissions for member accounts, centrally restricting services. Now, why the other options are wrong? IAM user password policies is incorrect. Password policies govern IAM user passwords, not which services accounts may use. Amazon CloudWatch alarms is incorrect. CloudWatch alarms monitor metrics. They do not restrict service usage. S3 bucket policies is incorrect. S3 bucket policies control access to a bucket, not account-wide service usage. Question 17. An application needs to securely store and retrieve configuration values and API keys with encryption and fine-grained access control. Which AWS service is appropriate? The correct answer is A. AWS Secrets Manager or AWS Systems Manager Parameter Store. Secrets Manager and Systems Manager Parameter Store securely store secrets and configuration values with encryption and IAM-based access control. Now, why the other options are wrong? Amazon S3 Glacier is incorrect. S3 Glacier is for long-term archival storage, not secret retrieval. Amazon Kinesis Data Streams is incorrect. Kinesis Data Streams ingests streaming data, not secrets. AWS Step Functions is incorrect. Step Functions orchestrates workflows and does not store secrets. Question 18. An EC2-based application must call Amazon DynamoDB and Amazon S3. Following best practices, how should it obtain permissions? The correct answer is B. Attach an IAM role, instance profile, granting scoped access to DynamoDB and S3. An IAM role attached to the instance provides temporary, automatically rotated credentials scoped to only DynamoDB and S3. Now, why the other options are wrong? Hard-code an IAM user's access keys for both services in the application is incorrect. Hard-coding access keys uses long-term credentials and is insecure. Use the root user access keys is incorrect. Root user keys grant unrestricted access and must never be used by applications. Open the instance's security group to all traffic is incorrect. Opening the security group affects network access, not service permissions, and is insecure. Question 19. A company wants only its VPC to privately access a third-party SaaS application hosted in another VPC, without traversing the public internet. Which service enables this private connectivity to the service? The correct answer is C. AWS PrivateLink, Interface VPC Endpoint. AWS PrivateLink uses interface VPC endpoints to privately connect to services without exposing traffic to the public internet. Now, why the other options are wrong. An internet gateway is incorrect. An internet gateway routes traffic over the public internet, the opposite of what is required. Amazon Route 53 public hosted zone is incorrect. A Route 53 public hosted zone provides public DNS, not private connectivity. AWS Shield Standard is incorrect. Shield Standard provides DDoS protection, not private connectivity. Question 20. An application has a front end that sends work to a back end, but spikes in traffic cause the back end to be overwhelmed and lose requests. Which AWS service should be added to decouple and buffer the requests? The correct answer is D, Amazon SQS. Amazon SQS decouples the front end from the back end and buffers messages so the back end can process them at its own pace. Now, why the other options are wrong. Amazon Route 53 is incorrect. Route 53 is DNS and does not buffer application requests. AWS Certificate Manager is incorrect. Certificate Manager provides TLS certificates, not request buffering. Amazon CloudFront is incorrect. CloudFront caches content at the edge. It does not buffer back-end work. Question 21. An application must send the same event notification to multiple independent subscribers, such as several queues and an email endpoint, at the same time. Which service is best suited? The correct answer is A, Amazon SNS. Amazon SNS uses a publish/subscribe model to fan out a single message to multiple subscribers simultaneously. Now, why the other options are wrong. Amazon SQS, standard queue alone, is incorrect. A single SQS queue delivers messages to consumers polling that queue, not fan out to many endpoints. AWS Lambda alone is incorrect. Lambda alone processes events, but does not fan out a message to multiple subscribers. Amazon EBS is incorrect. EBS is block storage and cannot deliver notifications. Question 22. A company needs its Amazon RDS database to automatically fail over to a standby if the primary database's availability zone fails. Which configuration provides this? The correct answer is B. Enable a multi-AZ deployment. A multi-AZ RDS deployment maintains a standby in another AZ and fails over automatically if the primary fails. Now, why the other options are wrong. Add read replicas in the same AZ is incorrect. Read replicas scale reads but do not provide automatic failover for high availability. Increase the instance size is incorrect. Increasing instance size improves performance, not availability across an AZ failure. Enable S3 versioning is incorrect. S3 versioning protects S3 objects and is unrelated to RDS failover. Question 23. An application's traffic varies throughout the day, and the company wants the number of EC2 instances to adjust automatically to demand. Which service should it use? The correct answer is C, Amazon EC2 autoscaling. EC2 autoscaling automatically adds or removes instances based on demand, improving availability and cost efficiency. Now, why the other options are wrong? Amazon S3 is incorrect. S3 is object storage and does not scale EC2 capacity. AWS CloudTrail is incorrect. CloudTrail records API activity and does not scale instances. Amazon Athena is incorrect. Athena queries data in S3 and does not manage instance capacity. Question 24. A company wants to distribute incoming HTTP/HTTPS traffic across multiple EC2 instances in several availability zones. Which service should it use? The correct answer is D, an application load balancer. An application load balancer distributes HTTP/HTTPS traffic across targets in multiple availability zones. Now, why the other options are wrong? A NAT gateway is incorrect. A NAT gateway allows outbound internet access from private subnets. It does not load balance. An internet gateway is incorrect. An internet gateway connects a VPC to the internet but does not distribute traffic. Amazon CloudWatch is incorrect. CloudWatch monitors metrics and does not balance traffic. Question 25. A company runs its application in 2 AWS regions and wants DNS to automatically route users to a healthy secondary region if the primary becomes unavailable. Which feature should it use? The correct answer is A. Amazon Route 53 health checks with failover routing. Route 53 health checks with a failover routing policy automatically direct users to the secondary region when the primary is unhealthy. Now, why the other options are wrong? An application load balancer in one region is incorrect. A single region load balancer cannot fail traffic over to another region. Amazon CloudFront signed URLs is incorrect. CloudFront signed URLs control content access, not regional failover. AWS Direct Connect is incorrect. Direct Connect provides dedicated connectivity, not DNS failover.